はいはい、こんばんや。コミューショネコ大隊長 VTuber と DJ リゲの DJ ゆきでーす。はい、こんばんや。Happy Halloween to everyone in Virtual America. 日本の皆さん、ここでまだハロウィンです。いやー、はいはい。So we will continue Higurashi with chapter 4. Yuki noticed that yesterday Yuki forgot to put the desktop audio on. So whoopsies, whatever. Today we will, or this time the desktop audio should be on. So hopefully we'll be fine. So we will be doing Higurashi for the next. We'll be doing chapter 4 right now. 4 meaning dash. She. Hi, chapter 4. So yeah, we'll do chapter 4. So a summary of what happened last chapter. Akasaka, who is a police officer is investigating the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance, and or that was the previous chapters, and he just got back from his first day, the day of investigating, or mostly site touring, and then he meets up with Oishi and two other people to do mahjong. And then what happens is they play mahjong thinking that he's bad at or that Akasaka thinking that Akasaka's bad at mahjong, but then he ends up he ends up winning easily, and then they find out, or Akasaka finds out that one of the people he was playing with was the head operator, something like that, in the Hinamizawa Dam project. He was complaining about the villagers, and especially Mion in particular, Sonozaki Mion. And then he ends up talking with another person that was playing with him, and they head out somewhere in the car, making sure no one was following them. And they weren't meant to. The guy was talking about the meeting that went on between the three families, which consists of mostly the Sonozaki family and a little bit of the Kimiyoshi family, which comprises of the mayor, and then the Furude family, which is only comprised of the shrine priest, the wife, and Rika. And then they find, or he just explains what was going on during the, or telling Akasaka what was going on in the meeting. And then the informant tells Akasaka, or asks Akasaka if he's from Tokyo. Cause what happened is, or Akasaka denies it, but then the informant mentions things that which implies that they might know that Akasaka is an investigator. So so yeah, so we'll continue with Higurashi volume, or Higurashi Himatsubushi-hen, chapter 4. Oh shoot, wrong one. I picked the wrong one. Hold on. Come on. Whoops. I meant, let's continue. Right. Hold on. I'm wondering, hold on. What happens if I do this again? What happens if I do this again? Shall we try? I'm not gonna read it again. I'm just gonna get to the part where we get to the choice between red and blue. Wait, what did I pick? Crap! Hold on. What did you keep it? Hold on. I'm gonna have to check back on my VOD, because I kind of forgot. Hold on. Wait, did you keep pick red or blue last time? Hold on a second. I want to make sure. I don't want to pick the same thing, but then I'm gonna find out that probably does the same thing. We'll see in a second. Chotomate. Which one is it? This one? Where are you? Red, blue. What are they? Red. Okay. Now, why don't you choose the red box or the blue box? It's alright. You won't lose anything by picking either one. Come on now. I picked the red box outside the blue box. What happens? Don't tell. Have you thought about it? In the end, you chose this color, didn't you? As soon as you chose, the other box disappeared. So you can give all the contents of that one, okay? That's the rule. Now open up the box you chose. Inside the box was a stick of chewing gum. It was different. It was different. It was caramel. It was a what is it? It's a piece of caramel for the other one. Right now you're thinking, that's it? That's right. The contents of the red box and the blue box were a piece of caramel and a stick of chewing gum. Wait, what? You might have thought you made the wrong choice before. But now seeing them together like this, you can't really say either choice was wrong. Wait, it knew that I did this again. Oh my god. Oh my god. It knew that I did this again. Oh my god. It knew that I picked the blue one last time. Dang it. You might have thought you made the wrong choice before, but now seeing them together like this, you can't really say that either choice was the wrong one. Well, I guess everyone has their personal preferences. If you prefer caramel to gum, for example, you're definitely thinking of choosing to open the box again based on that preference. The clear choices you wanted were basically this. The self has decided to open up both boxes and compare the contents, then pick the most one suited to you. But you see, reality is the same as this game. If you pick one, the one you didn't choose disappears, so there's no way you could check the result. If at the time you had done this, or perhaps if you done that, then it wouldn't be hard to imagine that you could be happier, or perhaps less happy than you are right now. In the end, you only have the pleasure of approving of or being disappointed by the choice that you make. And that's fine. After all, didn't you enjoy the thrill of making the choice? Like, if now you knew the contents of the boxes, then the choice between the red box or the blue box, or the blue box would just be a waste of time, because instead of this boring game of boxes, you could be looking at a quickly changing evening summer sky, listening to the distant sound of thunder, or pondering if it's going to rain or not. That would be much more fun. What? It was... Oh my god. Shoot, what would have happened if I picked blue first instead of red? Okay. It knew. I guess it would make sense that it knew that Yuki looked at it again. Lol. Let's actually save this one again. I had a restless night's sleep. I did nothing but turn over repeatedly during a night that seemed like it lasted for eternity. Even then, I eventually fell asleep at some point, not realizing how high in the sky the sun had risen. I shook up the urge to go back to sleep. It was then I noticed the phone was ringing. The time was almost past 10 in the morning. It's clearly too late for a wake-up call. Saka-san? Good morning, it's Oishi. Waking up to the sound of Oishi's voice was a little too much of a shock. My delicate ears were ringing. Oishi, nande? But thanks to that shock, I was suddenly wide awake. Moshi moshi. Ohayo. Could it be you just woke up? Even though you were in assignment, it's still not good to be asleep during business hours. Ha ha ha. You're absolutely right. I'll be more careful in the future. I have another tidbit that might wake you up even more. It was interesting. There's something interesting mixed in with the lost and found at the Hinamizawa police box. Lost and found? Let's leave the details for when you get here. You think you'll be able to make it before noon? I'll be there right away. Oishi already knew what my mission was. Since Oishi said it was something that would wake me up, it was hard to believe that it would be irrelevant to me. Honestly speaking, judging by the information from Sato-san yesterday, knowing that my cover was already blown, I couldn't wander to and from Hinamizawa carelessly. In other words, my investigation was in an impasse. If there's some information that could put me back on the trail, that would be nothing less than a stroke of good fortune. After vigorously washing my face, I pulled on my jacket and hailed a taxi, heading towards the Okinomiya police station. Oh, you're here. The genius mahjong player has arrived. My apologies for being late. So exactly what popped up. with absolutely no intention of reminiscing about last night's mahjong game, I pressed him to get to the point. Oishi, anticipating that I would act that way, cut to the chase without any resistance. Like I said earlier, something arrived from the Hinamizawa police box lost and found this morning. Lost box that were turned over to the police box were sent to the Okinomiya station after the paperwork was held. Oishi pulled out a plastic bag from the drawer and laid its labeled contents on the desk. Is that a wallet? Indeed. There was small change inside, but no bills. We thought that a pickpocket threw it away after pulling out its contents. At first. I don't understand how this wallet, so far removed from Tokyo, could possibly be related to the kidnapping. If it had drawn Oishi's attention, it would have been something dramatic. Like if the wallet belonged to the missing grandchild. That would be absurd. Like something that convenient would happen. If that was it, then there were probably initials written on the wallet. Like the initials of Toshiki Inugai, the minister's grandson, T.I. Thinking like that, at this point I didn't suppose that this wallet was something that could get Oishi so excited. Oh, T.I., okay. Still T.I. Inugai Taiki. Toshiki, what am I doing? Oishi, after putting on a pair of disposable plastic gloves, handed me a pair of the same. I didn't feel like this wallet was such an important thing, so I had my doubts whether there was any point in putting on gloves. However, I didn't want Oishi's attention to go to waste, so I put them on. Oishi put on the plastic bag, opened up the plastic bag and pulled it out, showing me the back. As I had mentioned, there were initials engraved there. It was slightly more detailed than what I had thought, with Toshiki I marked on it. Oishi grinned at me with a look on his face that said, "See? We can't confirm that this belongs to the minister's grandson." I informed him calmly. This wallet was irrelevant. Yeah, it was nothing more than Oishi's overeagerness. First of all, there was absolutely no way in this distant locale that the missing grandson's wallet would be found in such a convenient timing. Hold on a second. Okay. Okay. Hi. After all, the Onikafuchi Defense Alliance wasn't related to the case in the first place. Well, there was no way this wallet belonged to the grandson. Why I wanted to decide that was the case, even I didn't really know. Even though what should have been a top secret case was leaked before I even had been dispatched. In this situation, how could I say this was definitely unrelated? Would it be more prudent to say more attention to this wallet? It had only been a couple of days since I arrived at Hinamizawa, but those couple of days due to a number of remarkable events, my nerves might have become just a little afraid. Shaking my head slightly, I cleared it of unnecessary thoughts. While Oishi opened the wallet zipper, revealing the contents. Inside was small change and a number of crumpled receipts. Oishi, from the jumble, pulled out a folded card. Seeing that, my heart stopped for a moment. It's a card from a dental examination. The name Toshiki Inugai and the name and the age. A perfect match. The dentist location was in Tokyo. There was no need to explain any further. How far was it from Tokyo to Hinamizawa? It was far enough that taking bullet trains and cars would still take several hours. Why would a wallet with a dental examination card from Tokyo inside show up in Hinamizawa? Wow. Could it belong to a tourist who came from Tokyo, like you? Or could it be a villager on vacation to Tokyo, just happened to pay a visit to the dentist? No, it had to have fallen into someone's bag by accident. In my mind, I desperately struggled to find possible excuse as to why this wallet didn't belong to Inugai Toshiki. It was as if it just wouldn't do for this wallet to belong to him. However, reading out any possibility for error one by one, the haze surrounding the wallet in front of me faded, gradually letting it come into clear focus. See? I felt a shiver of electricity run up my spine. My pulse quickened and a thin film of sweat began to coat my entire body. From Oishi's point of view, I probably was slack-jawed and spaced out with a slovenly look on my face. Did you get information from the dental office? That's your job, Akasaka-san. I didn't go that far. When did the wallet show up? The person who picked it up was a villager. They did so yesterday, it seems. Not that, I mean, when was this wallet dropped? It rained here last week, exactly 7 days ago. It doesn't look like the contents are water damaged, so the longest it would probably be 6 days. Does anyone else in the station know the existence of the wallet? The officer who first encountered it at the Hinamizawa police box, and also 2 or 3 people in charge of the lost and found. Other than that, it's just you and me. If it's involved in a classified case, it'd be better to talk about it, wouldn't it? I don't intend to wag my tongue. May I bear the phone? Go ahead. Tell Zero to get an outside line. I dialed the phone number inscribed in the examination card. I could hear my pulse pounding inside my head. Could there be a possibility be something absurd? The addresses on the receipts and the cards inside the wallet were all from the area where the grandson lived. The name on the examination card was also a match. The time we deduced that the wallet had been left behind also matched up with the timeline of the kidnapping. Of course, it was possible I could just laugh it off as a whole big pile of coincidences. There wasn't any strong evidence. Rather, this is all John! Rather than all of this circumstance to prove the contents of this phone call I was about to make would have a much greater meaning. How is Hai-chan doing? Moshi Moshi, sorry to keep you waiting. This is dental office. Yeah! Oh, this is Happy Halloween! Oh, this is the beep, please. Can you guess who Yuki cosplayed or from what series Yuki was wearing a costume from today? I have a misplaced wallet here. I'm trying to get in contact with the owner. Would you be able to help me? Inside the wallet is an examination card from your office. Thus, the name is Inagai Toshiki. If I give you the number on the card, would you be able to look up the phone number? Yes, thank you. If you could. The long receiver, I pull out a notebook from my breast pocket with my free hand. I open up to the page with the grandson's address and phone number recorded on it. Hi, Moshi-moshi. Yes, go ahead. I compared the phone number written on my notebook to the one that was written out on the other end of the line. During the process, I spun around to look behind me uneasily. I locked eyes with Oishi. Oishi looked puzzled, wondering what the matter was. Why would I feel uneasy or look behind me? Happy Domoween! Happy Domoween! Oh yeah, Yuki was doing Nya-nya-ween. Oh yeah, Yuki was doing I won't say what exactly I was cosplaying or wearing a costume of cosplaying, but Yuki was cosplaying from My Hero Academia. I've never cosplayed from My Hero Academia until today. That was because the person on the end of the line was reading out the numbers as though doing so straight from my notebook. Yeah! It seemed that HQ was in quite an uproar thanks to my report. No matter how many times the authenticity of the evidence I had linked to the grandson was called into question, I could always find that it was the truth. When the lead investigator first picked up the phone, I was cleared about the evidence I found. It was almost too good to be true, if I do say so myself. But after doubt dispelled, he fell into silence. I was wearing it at work. Of course, no one would know who Yuki was cosplaying. And then Yuki went home early to give out candies. And the last people that Yuki gave candy to knew who Yuki was cosplaying. The end. That was Yuki's Halloween. But after doubt dispelled, he fell into silence. The receiver was finally handed over to the section chief. When he picked it up, the background thrum into the other end of the line disappeared, and I knew that it had gone completely silent. After asking the same questions about the wallet that the investigator did, the chief quietly spoke his next words. Got it. We'll dispatch several people as reinforcements. They should be able to make it there by evening. Akasaku-kun, please continue with your investigation of the area to get some information on the spot where the wallet was found. Kanao will select some people and head directly there. The fact that he was sending Kanao, the lead investigator, here meant that the chief had decided there was a possibility that the Onikafuchi Defense Alliance were somehow implicit in the kidnapping. However, it felt as though until the lead investigator, whom he trusted, had verified the evidence with his own hands, he was gonna still be skeptical about it. How did it go? It seemed like HQ was sending reinforcements. I was ordered to investigate the area. Where was the bullet drop? Around Takatsudo, apparently. This is Okinomiya. All the way over there. All the way over here. This is Inomizawa. And even further upstream, way up around here, is Takatsudo. Takatsudo. What's it written in kanji? Takatsudo. Oh, got it. Taka, and then the tsunami tsudo is in Edo. Edo no do. Taka. Takai no taka. Tsunami no tsu. Do. Edo no do. Right. Oishi explained where the wallet was found by pointing to locations on the map on the wall. This place called Takatsudo was even more remote than Hinamizawa was. There is hardly anyone living in the area around Takatsudo. It was deserted a long time ago. It's littered with abandoned houses, so it's quite difficult around there. Oishi-san, could I ask you to guide me to Takatsudo? Yeah, I don't mind. You can't really get in and out of Hinamizawa as you please by yourself, after all. Of course, I have to make you wear a cap and mask again. That Oishi had agreed to accompany me was very reassuring. If Sato-san's info was to be believed, my cover had been blown. I wasn't sure if the villagers had realized that the fresh meat dispatched from public safety was the tourist that visited the village yesterday. In other words, me. But deciding that they hadn't noticed would have been overly optimistic. Given the curse we thought Takatsudo, where the wallet was found, couldn't be ruled out as a hiding spot for the kidnappers. The Takatsudo area didn't have any residential buildings, nor was it alongside a highway. There wasn't a reason for locals to go out on their way to visit it. It is exactly what we would call a long-forgotten ghost town at the end of the road. You couldn't ask for a better place to hold a kidnapped grandson. Also, you couldn't get to Takatsudo without going through Hinamizawa first. Takatsudo. Several conditions made the area all the more important. I couldn't brush it off any longer. There was no longer any doubt that Onikafuchi Defense Alliance or somebody hired by them were involved in the kidnapping. If that was the case, then the fact that this wall was found might have already been leaked to them. Even they knew so much as to how the Public Safety Division was operating. The case of the wallet couldn't be something they didn't know. In that case, there's a possibility that the enemy was laying in wait. To dive alone in enemy territory surrounded by enemy territory, to say the least, required an amount of courage, nay, recklessness, that I just did not have. Without your company, Oishi-san, I wouldn't be able to step into the village so easily. Thank you so very much for your cooperation. Honestly, I thought you would have asked for more money. Nah, well, if we're being honest, Minamizawa isn't a place I like to go. I'd at least appreciate if you paid for the cab fare. Still, it's not a request I can refuse from a friend that's played at the same table as me. Oishi grinned as he pounded me on the back. It struck me that he just didn't want to jump ship rather than having any sort of sense of duty towards his job. Even so, it doesn't really matter. Right now, I really appreciated the gesture. Well then, shall we hurry up and get going? If the enemy knew that the police had obtained the wallet, then they would have probably moved the hostage to a different place. To the moment, there was not a moment to lose. But Oishi, without regard for the fact that we were about to head out, began to remove his jacket. What are you doing? Well, just a precaution. If you want me to poke the beehive to get your honey, I'd rather be well prepared, you see. Do you want to put one on too? What Oishi pulled from the drawer below the desk was a stab-proof vest. His name was Inugai Toshiki, the grandson of the Minister of Construction, Inugai. There's only one reason for him being here. If you didn't want to go to gym or art class, his grades were above average. That was the result of having private tutoring sessions twice a week. If you omitted the fact that he still couldn't do pull-ups, there wasn't so much else that would make him hate school. Of course, he understood full well that his grandfather was a cabinet minister, but he knew that not too many people were interested in the relationship. He didn't like to go out of his way to bring up his grandfather, or call him the Minister of Construction. And finally, he at least tried to know a little more about what kind of work the Minister of Construction did than your average Joe. What that entailed was that you tried your best to make your life better for the masses. Sometimes you made a few enemies. He knew that all too well from the time he spent as class representative. His grandfather had many enemies. He knew that he might passionately catch some quite a fall, so he had to think twice as cautious. He was taught by his parents. That's why, the moment he was kidnapped, he instantly knew that this was one of those occasions. He understood that he wasn't being treated as Inugai Toshiki, the person, but rather as Inugai Toshiki, the grandson of the Minister of Construction. He wasn't personally at fault, but this was the result of some unavoidable trouble that with his grandfather's work. It made little difference, but when he realized it wasn't because of anything he did, he was able to relax fully a little. Of course, at first he was struck with terror befitting his age, wondering what was going to happen to him. But after a while of being tied up, only to be able to stay lying down, he began to ponder a great many things. First, he thought about the reason he was being abducted like this. He understood the answer to that easily. He understood he was taken by the hostage to coerce his grandfather, the minister. There's no doubt about that. He didn't know exactly what the Minister of Construction did, but it's easy to imagine that there was much to be gained from training him. He respected his grandfather more than most. He earnestly believed that his own grandfather was within the top 20 most important people in Japan. That's exactly why he wouldn't forgive anyone who tried to threaten his beloved grandfather. More importantly, he wouldn't forgive anyone who would use him as a tool to threaten his grandfather. His grandfather was really busy and rarely had time to meet relatives. That's why, with the little time he did manage to scrape together. He he just dropped by unannounced. His grandfather, and as an apology for not being able to meet during New Year's or summer vacation, he got in on his grandson very, very, very much. The number of times that Toshiki was looked upon with disregard just because his grandfather was a politician and a minister certainly weren't few. But he never thought, even once, that he wanted his grandfather to quit up being a politician. It was because it was his beloved grandfather. He wanted him to continue his career as long as possible from the bottom of his heart. However, Toshiki was now being held hostage, and his grandfather was being threatened. His grandfather, who called him the apple of his eye, was surely suffering. He might do anything to save his grandson. Maybe even putting aside his ideology as if it was required to save his grandson. He might give in to the culprit's demands if it meant saving his grandson. When Toshiki thought about that, an inexplicable anger welled up within him. In his current situation, he was unable to forgive the cowards who would make his beloved grandfather suffer by using such dastardly means. The feelings welled up inside of him, replacing the fear. What he thought of first was something any boy would imagine. Get out of these bonds, beat up the bad guys, then hand them over to police. Images of all the brave heroes from the manga he had read passed through the back of his mind. In his imaginary scenario, he slipped his bonds easily, floating like a butterfly, to evade his captors, and stinging like a bee to bring them all down. At the end, it was nothing more than his silly little fantasy, but with his vision obstructed and unable to see anything, it was something that he could get into more than any anime at the moment. In actuality, he was losing these little scenarios in his head for a long period of time. He was tied up. His captors hadn't really done anything to him that they would feel sorry for. However, eventually he began to grow tired of his fantasies, and more realistic scenarios began to run through his head. It was as then he realized that none of them were a solution. Yes, he wanted to do something for his grandfather, who was being threatened, but he was being here to inflict pain on his grandfather was the most thing that he could do, at least forgive, and also vexing. And then he noticed there was a much simpler way he could save his grandfather without having to beat his despicable captors. It was to remove himself as a hostage from the hands of these villains. And if he was to disappear from here, his captors would have nothing to threaten his grandfather with. The captors had restrained him, but they didn't treat him roughly, and they made sure that he was found well enough, meaning at most he was nothing more than a means for a threat. They were looking to bully or kill them all despite. If he believed, no, ill will befall him. Realizing that gave him a strong sense of courage, and carrying his train of thought this far, he let it run its course to its natural conclusion. Right now, at this moment, Inugai Toshiki had decided to escape. His ears had been scuffed like a sponge-like material, acting as makeshift earplugs. However, they did not actually do much to block out any sound, and he could overhear everything his captors were saying. Realizing that this was to his advantage, even when his captors spoke to him, he acted like he couldn't hear them through the earplugs. His captors, thinking that he couldn't hear their conversations, talked about all sorts of things without any reservations. Thanks to that, he was able to obtain various pieces of information. First off, this was in Tokyo. It seemed that this was quite a distance away, and on top of that, it was in the countryside, nestled deep in the mountains. It also seemed like his captors were inconvenienced living out here. So he could deduce that this place was far removed from any sort of town. Finally, whenever they went out to buy food or other supplies, they would always take a car. That fact caused him some dismay, because he knew that the method he learned at school of running away blindly while shouting for help wouldn't work here. He paused his little mental brain inside. His little mental escape scenario there. His ultimate goal was to find somebody who would help him. Someone would fit that description that wasn't close by. His class chances of escaping was certainly slim. Desolate far. Hey, Darksider, how are you doing? A desolate, far-off land deep in the mountains. Oh, please. Hi. Thank you, arigato nya. A place where you couldn't even go shopping without using a car. I didn't even think of that until now. In a situation, escaping would be very difficult. He grew depressed, and after a little while, he returned to his original scenario, imagining becoming a hero like in the manga he read. Beating down his captors became his respite. However, as he played those delusions out in his head, his heart, hating to surrender, continued to search for a way to escape, and then he thought of a way. The goal was far away, and all he had to do was get closer. His goal, in a nutshell, was to find someone who could help him. In other words, someone other than his captors. If he faked being sick, then his captors would have to take him to the hospital or bring him a doctor to him. It would probably be reluctant to do that, but he already knew that the hostage was more than anything. In the off chance something happened, like him dying, occurred, they wouldn't be able to threaten anyone anymore. Luckily, he had an experience that would help him fake a serious illness. In the end of last year, he was inadvertently involved in a car accident and had to undergo surgery. That scar from that surgery was still clearly visible from his lower torso. He recalled the pain and suffering from the time. The existence of that experience would make a huge impact on the realism of his performance. He was quite confident on his ability to fake an illness. His captors at first looked at him. His captors at first took that as a sign that he needed to use the washroom. Untying only his arms, they continued to bring him there while he was still blindfolded, but he didn't try to get up. His hands, now free, only clutched at his abdomen as he breathed in agony. Hey, what's wrong? Does your stomach hurt? He still had the earplugs up. He still had his earplugs in, so he had to pretend he didn't hear his captors asking the question. He was about to nod, so he hurriedly had to stop himself. What's the matter? Yeah, the kid's clutching his stomach. Must be a stomach ache or something. His captors looked down on his suffering form for a bit. One of them proposed a course of action while another laid his doubts that Toshiki might be faking it. What's wrong, boy? Your tummy hurt? His ears are plugged, so you can't hear you. Well, there's a problem. Do you have any medicine that works on stomach pain? Might want to go to the pharmacy and buy some. Then, when it comes to stomach pain, there's a bunch of different meds, isn't there? As long as we don't know the cause, we shouldn't just buy any old medicine. He's holding his stomach. Maybe he's just constipated. If you buy him some medicine for that, maybe they'll calm him down. You won't kill him if you're wrong either. Don't decide something like that on your own. It might be appendicitis or something. My uncle suddenly got it a while ago. It was pretty scary. One of the captors leaned over beside the boy, who was bent over in agony. I feel sorry for the kid. Whoa, his whole body's covered in sweat. Is it your stomach? Does it hurt? Hey, if it hurts, shouldn't you clutch it so... You shouldn't clutch it so tightly. It'll only make it worse. Realizing that his captors were concerned about his stomach, he inadvertently let his shirt right up, letting the scar from his surgery come into plain view. His vision was still obscured with packing tape, so he couldn't see the reaction to his scar. But his captors were taken aback, judging from their monetary silence. He had obtained the reaction that he was looking for. Hey, this is bad, this scar. It's not that old. Does the boy have a fever? There's a thermometer around. There's no way we have one, but that's a lot of sweat. Yeah, his forehead feels pretty hot, I think. I heard that under prolonged stress, old wounds can be aggravated. Then what do you do? What are you saying, that medicine won't work? We don't know what surgery the scar is from. But in any case, this is bad. In the worst case, it could be fatal. This is bad. This is really, really bad. Maybe we should have a doctor take a look at it. At this rate, there's a chance he might suddenly die on us. Inagai Toshiki, with those few words, knew that the situation was progressing exactly like he envisioned it. Snickering to himself, even in the inside, pressed his act even further. He didn't even need to know his captors were panicked and were running around like chickens with their heads cut off at the start of some terminal event. Shouldn't take him to the clinic? No, this is no good. Probably if the doctor came here. Your sensei, you mean? Is that okay? Would that be right? It'd be worse if anything happened to the hostage. Nothing we can do. It's emergency. One of the captors hurriedly left the car. Another of the men, completely shaken up at this point, wiped the sweat off his forehead from the handkerchief. It looked like they were bringing a doctor. As long as the doctor wasn't an accomplice, that doctor wasn't his goal. That doctor was his goal. He was someone he should seek help from. His captors were probably wary of that happening. They would be prepared for it. This would all come down to luck. Some of the sweat emerging from his brow was from that nervousness. At that moment, the packing tape that was covering his eyes and ears was torn off. The burning light that he was seeing for the first time in several days hurt his eyes. After that, the gag that made it hard for him to breathe was also removed. Oh, you're right, kid. We're bringing a doctor to you right now. Just hold on for a bit. The doctor was coming. The doctor was coming. Now he was going to ask for help. Now he was going to get away from his captors. Plethora of thoughts began swirling around through his head. I think you know this already, but don't say anything unnecessary to the doctor. We don't want to hurt you or anything. You understand that, right? Inugai Toshiki nodded while fainting pain and obedience. His expectations and the enemy's expectations. Whether they doubt he was faking his illness or not, they knew that what his goal was would probably stop it. His stomach contracted from his stress of this gambit, making it seem like his stomach was really starting to hurt. No, it really was. But there's no reason to panic. If he failed his whole approach to the doctor, there was nothing to lose. If there was something to lose, it was this method of faking illness to get in touch with that doctor. If he could think of other methods from here on out, it wasn't much. But at the present, it was the easiest and most dramatic way he could think of. The more you think about it, the more it looked like this was his first and last gambit. Eventually, he heard the sound of a car approaching once again. The sound of the car, doors being hurriedly opened and shut. The sounds of several footsteps approaching. A young man in a white coat. As he acknowledged the boy, a suspicious look showed itself on his face. Who's he? He's not one of the kids of the village, is he? The captors didn't respond. When I looked at it, the doctor realized that this was an abnormal situation. One of the captors talked threateningly. This has nothing to do with your doc. For a while, the doctor and the captor silently glared at one another. However, unable to stand at the sight of the boy's continue to suffer, doctor, as the captor said, didn't press any further. I'm concerned about this old surgical star. What kind of operation was it? We don't know. I should really bring him back to the clinic. Doc, we really can't really do that. The doctor said he wanted to bring the boy to the clinic, but the captor silently shook his head at the notion. It's a fleeting hope, but it was only natural that the captors would refuse. At the moment, his eyes met with the doctor's. Seeing that the boy's painful state was abnormal, the doctor suspected it was a serious illness. Are you right? I'm a doctor. When was this surgical scar from? Last year. During the winter. From an accident. An accident? I see. This is a problem. He couldn't let the doctor figure out that he was faking it here. He had to somehow figure out some way to keep this going, and tell the doctor that he was being confident and needed help. I'm gonna touch the affected area, okay? If it hurts, tell me where. Seeing that it was extremely painful, the doctor crossed his arms and began to ponder. He had to somehow get himself to the hospital. To Inugai Toshiki, faking this illness was the performance of a lifetime. Good work, everyone. I know it's hot, but please do your best. If you catch anyone illegally dumping, please contact someone immediately. We'll act quickly. Thank you for your cooperation, Oishi-san. Please. A wide gap enough for a single car to pass. A single car was opened up in the barricade. Oishi, standing, showing his gratitude, or perhaps a threatening attitude, with a short beep on the horn, rolled the car towards through the checkpoint. This time my appearance was the very embodiment of the word suspicious. A baseball cap, mask, and sunglasses. On top of that, even though it was sweltering, I was wearing a hoodie. Any respectable officer would be loath not to stop me for questioning. I had meant to be overcautious, knowing full well that my face was known. But it might have already been too late for that to have any use. Using that as an excuse, I doffed the unbearably hot hoodie and windbreaker, ripped off the mask and hat, and threw them in the side seat behind me. Oh my. Is that okay? With a cheap little disguise like this? They probably figured out anyways. Nah ha ha, that's just me. That just might be the case. Where is she? Probably thinking that my unexpected behavior was funny. Continued to laugh. The beautiful and pristine scenery of Hinamizawa spread out before me. The village itself would have been quite beautiful if it weren't for the complicated circumstances surrounding it at the moment. I would absolutely love to take Yukie here for a drive one day. Come to think of it, I didn't get a chance to call her last night. I played around with some idea with my head, but in reality, this village wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. I heard everything at the prefectural headquarters. At the heart of the village, the intelligence network that the three families wielded was due to blood ties and regional relationships, unbelievably well organized. And it spread not just around Hiranizawa. And it spread not just around Hinamizawa itself, but it encapsulated the entirety of the city of Shishibone as well. As I first heard that somewhere in the recesses of my mind, I didn't take it completely seriously. How could the local organization of the boonies have something so grandiose? I couldn't deny that somewhere in the back of my mind, I'd ridiculed the thought. But not only were they really threatening the minister, but they had demonstrated they had complete trust on our movement, which is supposed to be top secret. They're almost like the secret police that controlled a small Eastern European country like in some spy novel. The villagers here wouldn't bat an eye at getting their hands dirty if it meant fighting the damn project. The damn project. I also heard something like at the prefectural headquarters. Oh, now that you mention it, Oishi also said this place was a war zone, didn't he? residents of this village were at the same time freedom fighters. So by definition, they were no different. They're no different from guerrillas or a militia. They weren't protected by the Geneva Convention, but they also didn't have to adhere to those rules either. This place was more of a quagmire than any legitimate battlefield. A secret war was unfolding. I could drive along because Oishi was with me. But if I was to leave this car for even something as trivial as looking for a vending machine, there wasn't a chance that I would return. Even though a single shot hadn't been fired, this was a battlefield. The reason why bullets weren't flying was simply because it was hard for a civilian to obtain a gun in Japan. So they were probably equipped with weapons other than guns that were easier to obtain. That's why Oishi is wearing a stab-proof vest, wasn't it? Akasaka-san, are you nervous? No. The fact that I was apprehensive was, of course, picked up by Oishi. If he already figured it out, there's no point in trying to deny or hide it. Of course I am. We're headed to the heart of enemy territory alone, aren't we? I'm worried about if something unlikely happens with just the two of us. The two of us. Something unlikely? Nah. It would be alright. Isn't everyone in this village our enemy? If everyone gets their stories straight, he could murder someone in broad daylight and there would be no shred of evidence. I'm asking about something like that. There was that ironclad rule of not barging into a Yakuza office alone was about. If there wasn't a neutral party involved, the area that wasn't bound by the laws of common sense. Something happened, you would be able to prove it, and there wasn't anybody who would take your side. It was pretty much the definition of poking the bear. I left word that we're heading towards the Hinamizawa area. And in worst case, we also got a radio. I know you're scared, Akasaka-san, but it's not easy to pull off the perfect crime. Well, of course, that doesn't mean that we need to let our guard down either. Akasaka-san, are you too worked up over this? You were more relaxed last time when we came up together, weren't you? Nah. Laughing it off, Oishi thumped his chest and grinned it as to say, I could depend on him. Well, if it's really iffy, nah. This comes with having the badge. Oishi made the motion of sticking out his index finger. It's undoubtedly the image of a gun. Will it be of any use? If you're not afraid of dealing with the aftermath after you shoot, it's pretty reassuring. The officer's gun was only for show. If you really wanted to fire it, there are quite a few number stipulations. But if you had to be prepared, for the long probationary period afterwards. That definitely wasn't worth it. So even if an officer had unholstered his gun, there isn't one who actually wanted to pull a trigger. Akasaka-san, were you carrying one apiece? Well, yeah. You ever fire it? I have. For training, though. I guess that would be true. Well then, have you, Oishi-san? Me? Nah, ha 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 ha. Nah, there's no way. What was that? I thought he was laughing at me because he had experience. I also never pointed the barrel at anybody. I've looked down at the barrel of a gun a few times though. Just being made look down at the barrel like that is just enough to shorten your lifespan about 3 years. I've also never pointed a barrel to anybody. I looked down at the barrel of the gun a few times though. Just being made to look down at the barrel like that is enough to shorten your lifespan. Even if you had a gun never fired a gun before, you didn't even begin to compare the amount of experience Oishi had over me. At the time, I could also marvel again at how reliable the Oishi steamer. Even though I've never fired a gun before, you couldn't even begin to compare the amount of experience Oishi had over me. At a time like this, I could only marvel at how reliable Oishi seemed. Come to think about it, I didn't want to come this way in the middle of the day, but there's no way for a car to get through other than here. Akasaka-san? Ah! Just in case, put on the mask again and to hide your face. Please, what's the matter? Can you not hear it because the air conditioning's too loud? I'll turn it off. Try opening the window. When I opened the window, a blast of hot air inside. Blew inside, and I could only hear angry yelling coming from far away. At the moment, the forest gave way on either side of us, and our view expanded suddenly. And there could be seen Hinamizawa Dam construction grounds. They're the front line of the Hinamizawa village. We're absolutely opposed to the construction of the Hinamizawa Dam! The crackling blare of someone's voice sounded over an enormous high speaker. The roar of angry voices continued to rumble. The incredible volume had become a veritable sound cannon, spewing out its ammunition. The prefabricated site office was surrounded by 2 sets of high fences latched with barbed wire. Lined up in front of those fences were riot police and their vehicles, and surrounding it were all the villagers. They howled at the protesters against the dam as a single entity. Oh, there's not a lot of them today. We're in good luck. That's not too many. Yeah, when there's a lot, the crowd reaches as far as the road. You wouldn't be able to move an inch forward in your car. At first, due to the overwhelming interview, it looked to me like there was more people than there actually was. But upon inspection, there were at least 50 or 70 of them. But the 6 or 7 propaganda trucks lined up that it looked like they belonged to a band or thugs and were in a strange enough silent. The villagers were also wearing helmets and bandanas, as well as covering their faces with masks, adding to the oddity of it all. The propaganda trucks, after braying their chorus, had their volume turned up even higher and began to flood the area with sutras. To say that the noise was downright violent wouldn't be an underestimation. From this distance, it was too loud. Glass the glass in the office was probably rattling from the noise. They can't do anything but take it. Take it. Those riot squad guys, every one of them is wearing earplugs, but they're still having their ears damaged. Poor sobs. They can't you do something about it with the noise ordinance laws? Our prefecture doesn't have any laws regarding noise ordinance. Can you do something about it with the noise? Ordinance laws? Our prefecture doesn't seem to have any laws regarding noise ordinance. Also, there's no sutras, right? We can't regulate religious activities. Those guys are pretty smart. Nahaha. Yeah. Is this what I think Oishi said? Is what I think Oishi said. Actually, no matter how tightly the window was shut, the moving noise of the sutras still filled the car. I couldn't even hear what Oishi's son was sitting next to me was saying. As this car approached the line of propaganda trucks, the blare became difficult to bear. It was not enough to plug my ears with my fingers. I had to hold my hand to keep my skull from splitting apart. If I had seen this terrifying energy sooner, I would have probably misunderstood that Hinamizawa village was much quicker. Now I knew. They wouldn't blink an eye at sacrificing themselves in order to protect their hometown. So gosh darn noisy. Shut up. My head throbbed and felt like it was going to split apart. My eardrums cracked in the top of it, and I felt like I was going to throw up. With the road crowded with the throng of squatters, the propaganda trucks, and the riot police vehicles, it was no easy way to get by. Even though you tried to shoot at squatters with the car horn, you're also wearing earplugs, oblivious to the noises from the outside world, and wouldn't easily move. The car would only inch forward at a snail's pace. Even then, the car eventually got through, starting to leave the tumultuous noise behind. Hey, the old guy that was playing mahjong with us last night. Remember him? I remember there's an older person who didn't exactly mince words. The guy that Oishi called old man. There was someone like that. You see, he was the foreman of the main construction site. He's probably holed up in the prefab building, trying to work while irritated out of his mind. Poor fella. He wouldn't be able to stand it if it was like that every day. Yeah, there's no end to the amount of people who can't handle it and quit. But every time that happens, their wages go up. So I wouldn't say it's in vain. Even having to deal with all the noise and hostility, they still made a wage at Oishi found inviolable. Dang it, these guys! Can they hear it or can't they? A group of slaughters were in the way of the car. Oishi, sufficiently annoyed, laid into the horn, but there's no indication that they were moving anytime soon. In this din, they could not even hear a car horn? Or did they hear it and were being malicious? If they were right placed nearby, they would have made people move, but it's just so happened there wasn't any around here. Ah, jeez. Just wait a minute. She opened up the door. The hot air and even more heated roar of the crowd spilled into the car. Oishi had said something as he grinned wildly, but I couldn't hear what it was. It was getting them to move. Something like that. Oishi stepped out of the car. Oishi stepped out of the car and closed the door. It then faded slightly. I stared blankly as Oishi headed towards the group and started some sort of conversation. Maybe if we find the minister's grandson at the Katsudo. At the very least, I want to find him there. Find him and slip the cursed bonds of this incomprehensible village. I could only pray. At the moment, a shadow was suddenly cast over me. Somebody was standing right outside of the passenger side window, blocking the sunlight. I spun around, looked up, and realized who the black bat-lit figure was. Huh? It was a girl. It was Furerika. The girl stared down at me with a bored look in her eyes. It didn't have any justification for it, but it felt like I'd been found by someone I shouldn't have been found by. To fill the silence, I raised my hand as I mouthed a meek greeting. Of course, there's no way she could hear my small voice in this clamor, but even then, she could have seen me wave my hand in greeting. In spite of that, she simply stared down at me with a cold look in her face. At the moment, the noise and heat spread through the car once again, where she had returned to the driver's seat. Taking a look, the group that were blocking the road had started moving aside while glaring our way. Sorry to keep you waiting. Shall we go? Oishi registered the figure of the girl behind me. One of the villagers came over and picked her up. It's dangerous, so get away. It was then that she whispered one or two words. However, I couldn't hear any of it. Well then, let's go. I'm going to gun it, okay? But of course, still within the speed limit. As to shake off the still audible angry voices, Oishi floored the gas. Along with the roar and the din of the shouting, the villagers and the girl quickly disappeared behind us. As soon as we're through here, we're in Takatsudo. Are you okay if we end up getting into a firefight? Don't be fumbling with the safety at the last moment you're here. Or she laughed mockingly again. I was more concentrated with the girl had said, what the girl had said. However, I was vaguely bothered by it. Well, what was she trying to say with that apathetic and candid expression? Suppose it's normal if you're nervous from here on out. But if you don't deal with it, there's a chance you might do something rash. But there's no longer a way to confirm what the girl tried to tell me. It might have been that girl who warned me to go back to Tokyo again, or else was she saying to me who was here now, ignoring that warning? Even though I warned you, what a fool. I had a feeling she said that, something like that. If you were to call Hinomizawa a rather lonely village, then the Katsudo was outright desolate. For an everyday silly boy like me, I just couldn't understand why anyone would force themselves to live here. There were signs that people had, but they were all covered in dust and developed by ivy, indicating that it was all abandoned. People really live in a place like this, didn't they? Well, this was a long time ago. A remote place like this is pretty rough for the folk to live. And the young people probably wanted to try living in a more suitable place. If there's nobody else to take the reins, we might as well. All that yet left is this. People really lived in a village like this, didn't they? A long time ago. Well, it was a long time ago. A remote place like this is pretty rough for an old folk to live. And young people probably wanted to try living in a more suitable place. If there's nobody left to take the reins, that's all that gets left in this. Even if I had no personal attachment to the village, seeing the disused buildings made me feel a little sentimental. It seemed like Oishi also felt the same way. Was the wallet found over here? The person who found it must have had a good reason to come out to this desolate place. Yeah, some of the villagers live a field out in the mountains here. They pass here in the morning and evenings. The villagers who work in the fields walk by here every day. No worry, they probably go as far as they can go by car. So in the early mornings and evenings, they pass by here and just happen to find a single wallet. They probably did. Where exactly did they find it? In a thicket just a bit further ahead. The person who found the wallet just happened to have stomach cramps and was planning to use the thicket to do his business, it seems. We need to find it. Probably hoping there was some toilet paper in there. Everything about this story just seems a little too convenient. Right from the discovery of the wallet, I just can't shake the feeling that something's off. I expressed the feeling that I had from the start of the day, quite frankly. It seemed too good to be true, but it was an unwavering proof. But it was too perfect, sickeningly so. That was my feeling. You might actually be onto something by saying it's a little too perfect. The truth is, I heard a little something from a friend of mine in 4th Division, where Sonozaki Oreo referenced the kidnapping of the minister's grandson. She referenced it? How's the story? I mean, it's different from the previous stories. So, I need to finish the anime. I stopped at chapter 4. Yeah, Yuki watched all of the... Not all of it. Yuki watched the anime up to... past this. A little bit further past this, I think. So Yuki doesn't remember too much of the story because it was a long time ago since Yuki watched the anime. Yeah, it's been several days since the minister's grandson has been kidnapped. Poor boy. It'd be nice if they let them alone soon. It seems that old Oreo muttered something like that while on her veranda, and that little musing was conveyed to the various people working deep behind the scenes at the Sonozaki family. Right, I probably heard something earlier from Sato-san, the informant. That when the leader Oreo had concern that somebody in the family would be considered. So in essence, she gave the order to release the hostage? I see it that way. The wallet being conveniently discovered was just a ploy to hand the boy over to the police. Why would they release the hostage? Nah. Well, there's only one reason why somebody would release the hostage, isn't there? What is it? They reached a deal. That would mean... hold on. Chotto matte nya. Chotto matte nya. Hi, okaeri. Gomen ya. For some reason, connection went poopy. Gomen ya. Gomen. Gomen, chotto matte. Hold on. なんでなんでなんで ごめん、ちょっと待って。Some of the settings were messed up. ごめん。ちょっと待って。ちょっと待って。ちょっと待って。Okay. はい。ごめんやー。Okay. So in essence, they reached a deal. That would mean the minister promised to halt the Hinamizawa Dam project. The dam will definitely go away. At that moment, those words that the girl said had resurfaced in the back of my mind. At the end, it was turning out exactly as she had proclaimed. The young girl knew the circumstances.
Thank you for the raid. ありがとにゃ。
Anime jam session, thank you for the raid. Arigato nya. Arigato nya for the raid. Hi. Hiya. Hey, DJ Amma. Whoa. How you doing? Hi, thank you for the raid. はい、こんばんにゃ。コミュ障猫隊隊長 VTuber と DJ リグの DJ ゆきです。Yuki likes doing rhythm games and occasionally DJs. But today, this week Yuki's trying to finish. This week Yuki's trying to finish Higurashi, chapter 4, Himatsubushi-hen. Let me do a shout out. You just finished up our stream. Got it. Let me just do a shout out. Okay, I have to make sure. Oh yeah. Be sure to follow Anime Jam Session. Be sure to follow DJ Amma. I'll also give a shout out later on for you, DJ Amma. Yuki, glad you're fine. Arigato nya. Oh yeah, so what is Yuki right now? Doing chapter 4 of Himatsubushi-hen. Chapter 4 of Himatsubushi-hen, which is the 4th game of the Higurashi no Naku Koro series. This is basic. So if you know Higurashi, if you kind of know Higurashi, this story is set a bit before the Higurashi's, most of the game is set. So yeah, right now what's going on is that this is in the this is in the eyes of a detective, or not detective, police officer who's trying to investigate the kidnapping of a government member's grandson, and they're in the process of trying to get to him right now, they're investigating a certain object that they found a little earlier, which might bring them to the what do you call grandson, but we'll see if it does. That's where we are right now. At the moment, those words that the girl had said resurfaced in the back of my mind. That girl meaning, Furure Rika. At the end, it would turning out exactly as she said, had proclaimed. That young girl had known the circumstances. She knew everything about this kidnapping incident, and from the beginning to the end. Akasaka. The girl unexpectedly called my name. What is it? Go back to Tokyo. Huh? Before long, you'll woefully regret coming to this village. That would be an incredibly pathetic thing to see. So I thought I'd warn you right now. Why would I come to regret it? Stop whining. When you tried crossing the road when the don't walk sign was up, did your parents finish explaining why it was dangerous before pulling you back to the sidewalk? They pull you back right away, wouldn't they? They pull you back before explaining why it was dangerous, wouldn't they? In other words, it's something like that. The girl who knew everything from start to finish had warned me in the beginning, go back to Tokyo. Akasaka is such a coward. We'll probably find a boy, but what happens afterwards will probably be a bit of a problem. How it'll be a problem though is something a single officer like me can't figure out. Do you know a girl named Furure Rika? What I said was such a non sequitur that Oishi sat in stunned silence for a while. Of course I know her. She's the older daughter of the Furure family, one of the 3 families. What kind of girl is she? Well, this is an unexpected name to hear. I'm a bit surprised. Does public safety think of the Furure family? That the Furure family smells fishy and wants to keep an eye on them? Share some information with me, please. No, it's not like that. It's just something caught my attention. Well, whatever. It wouldn't do to answer a question from a friend I've sat at the same table with. I'm honored you call me a friend. Never. So that little lady is, well, somewhat of a village mascot. She's beloved by everyone in the village. Some of the older folks worship her especially. Worship? I don't know much about it, you see. Girls born in the Furure family have somewhat of a sacred implication, it seems. It's one of the local beliefs in Hinamizawa, the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama, or something like it. Or as the story goes, apparently. Oyashiro-sama? Now that you mention it, I think I saw Oyashiro-sama written on some of the Alliance banners. What is Oyashiro-sama exactly? Oh, it's the name of the garden deity of Hinamizawa. They believe it will exact punishment on those who do ill will towards the village. Well, if there's such a convenient god around, the guys at the dam would have long since been done by divine justice. Luckily, nothing like that has happened to anyone just yet. The grandson of the minister trifled with the village. As a result of Yoshino-sama's anger was... what did they call it again? Alright, Onikakushi. The minister's grandson was demon away. That would probably be how the script was being written. Nahaha, I see. It probably would turn out to something like that. Divine punishment wrought by Oyashiro-sama. Then, the culprit is the incarnation of an Oyashiro-sama. That girl? Nahahaha. I I didn't know exactly what I was saying. The fact that Oishi laughed it off was a bit of a relief. Oishi's joyous laughter was so infectious that I began to laugh like an idiot as well. Oh, this is unusual. Oishi, laying down the horn several times, rolled the window down and leaned out, waving his hand in an exaggerated manner. There's a car heading the opposite way. Till now, we hadn't run into any cars except our own. And of all places, it was at this desolate location. It seems that Oishi knew the owner of that car. The other car also chirped its horn and came to a stop. Idiot-san, sir. Good afternoon. The other car's window rolled down slowly, revealing a young man in a white overcoat. He was about my age, or perhaps a bit older. But you really can't judge somebody by their appearance. Why, if it isn't Oishi-san. Good afternoon. Ha 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 ha, fancy meeting you here. What's my line, Doctor? I've never thought to see you here. What happened? Oh, nothing. Just a little house call. Oh, really? Was it an emergency? No, nothing quite that serious, thankfully. I'll take my leave here. If you don't mind, if I don't get back quickly, my staff will get angry at me. Nahaha, being the head of the clan must be tough. Well then, take care. After the doctor named the young doctor named after gesturing his farewell, drove forward and soon disappeared around a corner. Oishi also drove forward, but it soon came to a stop again. He pulled out a worn map book from the dash. His expression didn't have an ounce of irrelevance. He was perfectly serious. What is it? The clinic shouldn't be making any house calls today. Must have been quite an emergency, or otherwise a patient with some excruciating circumstances. Oishi flipped through the pages, opened up through the map of Takatsuto. After that, he looked around, starting to figure out what our current situation was. Are saying the emergency is suspicious? Didn't I say there's hardly anyone that lives in the Takatsuto area? The road we're on right now is here. Irie-sensei came from this direction. Having no sense of surroundings, I couldn't address anything about the place he was indicating on the map. We're heading towards the spot where the wallet was found. By the way, that's over here. But see, if you're headed to one of the few residences in Takatsuto, it's the wrong road. Meaning, Irie-sensei came from the direction where there's no residence? As long as somebody working in the fields between these mountains didn't collapse. But if somebody collapses and you call a doctor, normally you bring them back with you for a more detailed examination. Alright. But just how Irie-sensei said it was nothing serious. And it didn't seem like anyone else was in the car with him. Or she didn't say anything more than that. I also didn't say nothing more. The doctor just now examined a patient close by. Only that a noisy radio had suddenly gone quiet. The sky had suddenly turned an opposite color, As Oishi mused that might start to rain, a torrential downpour started, as still trying to disappoint him. Eventually, Oishi stopped the car. Only the sounds to break the silence were the percussion of the rain on the roof and the soft squeak of the windshield wipers. Let's do this a bit. Let's do this a bit. Hush, hush, shall we? Saying that in a quiet voice, he exited the car without an umbrella. Careful not to make any noise. Oishi leaned over, indicating the other side of the thicket. He was pointing to the prefabricated shed and the car that was parked beside it. The car that looked obviously well cared for. It wasn't a vehicle that had been left there for several years. What's that shed? It contains equipment used by the forestry service. I heard they don't go near it except during the summertime. Does this car belong to somebody from the forestry service then? Don't know. Doesn't look like an official vehicle though. Oishi was playing it cool, but my nervousness was gradually increasing. Just in case. Saying that, Oishi returned to the car. I thought he was going to get an umbrella, but he grabbed the onboard radio instead. Hello, this is Oishi. Do you read? Greetings, Naku Koro. Yes, this is Okinomiya SK. Oishi-san, we read you loud and clear, over. I'm currently in front of the forestry services equipment shed. Not the one in the direction of Yagauchi. The one in Takatsudo. If you head it there from Hinamizawa. I've heard of it. What do we got? There's some suspicious people in the shed. Proceeding to investigate. If you don't hear back from me in 5 minutes, get in touch with the local police substation and have them send a cruiser as soon as possible. If you would, please. Understood. Well then, shall we take a look? Yes, sir. Since he was first confined here, he had heard the sound of a car multiple times. So he thought of the far-off sound was more of the same. However, the reaction from his captors was, until now, something he hadn't seen before. They jumped, reacting as if shocked by a jolt of electricity, pressed against the window, cautiously peering outside. They stopped. Somebody from the Forest Service? This is bad. Looks like a cop to me. One of the captors lifted the boy by his collar and pressed a blade on his cheek. Hey kid, keep quiet for a while. I think you know this, but if you try to shout, there'll be problems. The guy Toshiki was sure that the doctor had reported things to the police. He had felt relief when he thought that he was safe, but not imagining that his captors were going to resort to violence. Then they were cornered. His anxiety remained unabated. What to do? Gotta buy time. Gotta take that kid and slip out the back. We'll meet back there when the heat's off. One of the perpetrators grabbed the boy from the collar and forced him to stand. Of course, Inugai Toshiki tried to resist by feigning that his illness had been aggravated by this tough treatment, but his captors paid no heed. Bang, bang, bang! The door was violently banged on. Excuse me. Oh. The door was banged on again. Inugai Toshiki hesitated for a moment to respond to the voice by yelling. However, he was being indecisive. His mouth was covered and taking that option away from him. The leader of the captors waved at the other to go. The younger perpetrator nodded in response, and while keeping the boy's mouth covered, started heading towards the back door. Hello, you need something? What do you do? This is the place. Would you mind opening the door? No. The submarine has a little bit in trouble. I'll just open it. The moment the lock was undone, Oishi forced the door open, and with a gleam of menace in his eyes, he pushed the man aside as he stepped into the room. Then, in the small, empty room, he was able to quickly discern that the boy he was looking at was nowhere to be seen. I heard that this was an equipment shed for the forestry service, but there's nothing here at all. There's nothing inside the room that would indicate this was an equipment shed. There's only a mountain of blankets, indicating someone was sleeping here, alongside an empty food package strewn about. It's been empty for some time now. Never seen no equipment stored around there. But this is a forestry service building, isn't it? Are you from the forestry service? What about you? Please? The two of them glared at each other. Suspiciously. Wolf, Oishi, and the man steadfastly refused to reveal their identity before the other did. The man, judging from the sharp look in Oishi's eyes, realized that it would be hard to talk his way out of this one. No matter what he said, the most time he would buy would probably be a few dozen seconds. Only the sound of rain filled this tense moment. Just then, they heard a sound of struggle from far off. Oishi had a hunch. That was no doubt Akasaka, who was circling around the back, had run into the perpetrators who tried to slip away. As Oishi thought that, the man in front of him reacted a moment faster. The man swung an attack that was more intended to obscure Oishi's vision rather than actually hit him in the face. Seizing the opportunity, the man aimed a kick at Oishi's groin without hesitation. But he missed the mark and was unable to land that critical blow. The man trying to pin Oishi tried to grab him on the base of the neck with both hands and fiercely tried to push him down. But as Oishi fell backwards, as if kicking the man upward, he took his feet down into a man's midsection. With that, the leg acting as a fulcrum, the man was flung by falling Oishi as if by a circle throw. The two of them squared off in the pouring rain. Isn't this interesting? You wanna go? Nah ha ha ha. Oishi is trying to cheer himself, grinned smugly. He then stood up while brushing the mud off himself. Even though he counted the assault, Oishi was getting rather awkwardly compared to the man who swiftly sprang his arms. Oishi-san! Hurry! Akasaka's chance. Akasaka's voice rang out from the distance. Judging from the distress on his voice, he was already engaged in a fight, and wanting Oishi to reconvene with him, but Oishi's hands were full as well. Akasaka-san, sorry, but can you wait for a bit? The man raised both fists into a stance that hinted at him being antiquated with karate or some other form of martial art. Of course, Oishi, an officer of the law, was decently versed in judo. He also had a moxie to have been through his fair share of fights before. Because of that, he could tell that the man in front of him was quite a bit better at fighting than he was. Oh, damn it. Thinking that was going to be easy because the card came from the Sonozaki family to release the hostage had been a big mistake. You're pretty good. It's been a while since I got this worked out. Oishi played the situation like it was no sweat. His opponent, seeing his attitude, took out to mean that Oishi was not going down so easily. The man wildly charged forward, attempting to grab Oishi. If the man managed a successful cleanse from his low stance, Oishi would be tackled to the ground and end up mounted. If it was something you saw often when children fought, but it was a bad position since you couldn't do much once you were in it. Oishi responded to the move, also lowered his stance to collide with the man head on. The moment they clashed, Oishi grabbed the man's lapel. He yanked the lapel. As he yanked the lapel upwards, he smashed into the man's solar plexus with the elbow of the same arm. It was a move from Oishi's own personal brand of brawling judo. He then grabbed on with his free hand and attempted to throw the opponent with both hands. But the man lowered his center of gravity and swung his arms with a large arc, intertwining them with Oishi's. Not only that, he had to face both of Oishi's elbows to the outside, and Oishi, now in an awkward position, was in danger of exposing his back with his hands, still clutching the man's chest. This guy practiced practiced Aikido or grappling, didn't he? Oishi, cursing the fact that his fingers were twisted into the man's shirt, couldn't get away, released his grip. But he was still in an awkward position of being bent forward, on top of that zero range. The man was able to read Oishi's movements completely as he tried to squirm his way into a better position. And then took the palms of his hands and swiftly clapped them over Oishi's ears. Ah! Slapping the ears in any martial art form, except for self-defense, was basically forbidden. Karate and judo did not recognize it as a legal technique. It was that much of a simple and dangerous attack. Oishi raised both his hands as he tried reflectively clutch his own ears. But before that could happen, the man wrapped his arms around Oishi's neck. His thick biceps clenched firmly around the base of Oishi's neck like a vice. Oishi instinctively thought he was going to be killed. After that, it wasn't hard to believe that a man like this was accustomed to fighting, could crush his opponent's neck from this position. But his opponent didn't do that. He had chosen to keep his hold and force Oishi to lose consciousness. That's why Oishi at the moment, even though his face was twitching, was grinning widely. Even though his opponent had a chance to kill him, he didn't choose to. He was thinking, this guy is not intended to kill me. However, even though that might be the case, the man's hold on his neck was no means gentle. In no time at all, Oishi's consciousness began to fade. Having the experience of being taken down countless times in Judo during his school days, Oishi was utterly disappointed in the fact that it was over. Akasaka was finally recovering from the intense pain of being kicked in a rather sensitive area. He had bumped into the captor carrying the boy in the back entrance. He had seen Inugai Toshiki's picture plenty of times, but hasn't been able to immediately ascertain if the boy in front of him was the real deal. What with his mouth covered in packing tape, also with his limited experience, it wasn't hard for him to panic over how to deal with the situation. Of course, the perpetrator did Overoke momentary lapse. His kick landed squarely in the critical section, which Akasaka had not even had time to call for help. As the man flung the boy over his shoulder, he began to head towards the front of the shed. But upon hearing Oishi's bellowing voice, he gave up and going on the direction. He then dashed off towards the forest. As if the weight of the boy slung over his shoulder wasn't even there, Akasaka was lost for a moment. Meeting up with Oishi, who was fighting with the enemy, was by far the safer option. But he couldn't lose sight of the fleeting man. Akasaka showed up and chased after the captor's back. He ran towards the small, short, thicket branches and fallen leaves crunching underfoot. The tips of branches raked and clawed at him. Small scratches inscribed themselves on his body, after another. He kept on stepping into puddles of mud, and his shoes were soon filled with murky water. Akasaka traveling through this unexplored forest, even though it was an emergency situation, was extremely unpleasant. Stop! This is a place! As he said that, he regretted it immediately, as it was but a waste of breath. There wasn't a thief in the world that would act politely stop when told to by the place. To a city boy like Akasaka, running through the forest was an arduous task. However, it must have been no easy task either for the man carrying the miniature's grandson. He neither gained or lost ground in his pursuit. Akasaka, upon releasing that, gained back a bit of composure. Just keep on chasing him. Running in the same conditions. In fact, the man running with an awkward stride was far more of a disadvantage. He could run forever. Eventually, he'd trip and fall. As long as he's being hounded, he would definitely stumble. And soon his wish was fulfilled. Whoa! The man who had stepped into something and lost his balance was no longer able to bear the weight of the boy, dropping him. Akasaka, in all honesty, didn't care about the perpetrator at all, just as long as he could ensure the safety of Inugai Toshiki. So if the perpetrator ran off by himself, it's perfectly acceptable. But it seems that Inugai Toshiki was important to the man as well. If the perpetrator ran off by himself, it was perfectly acceptable. But it seemed that Higurashi was important to the man as well, and didn't elect to just run away empty-handed. Akasaka did not know what to do in this situation. Akasaka didn't know what to do in this kind of situation. His first priority should be to ensure the safety of the boy, subduing his captor being less important. Grappling the perpetrator wasn't something he planned on, but most likely it was neither do or die. Akasaka's moment of indecision proved to be fatal. The man aiming right between, or rather both of Akasaka's eyes, struck out with a jab. Not wanting that, Akasaka raised both hands, shielding his face. At that moment, the man kicked his underguard. At that moment, the man kicked at his underguarded midsection. The pain almost felt like his vital organs was being squeezed out of his body. But he latched into his opponent's legs. But his opponent didn't hesitate one bit. Leading with his seized foot, the man jumped out at Akasaka, applying pressure and pushing him down. Akasaka was unable to withstand and fall, but as his opponent didn't hesitate one bit. Leading with his seized foot, the man jumped at Akasaka, applying pressure and pushing him down. Akasaka was unable to withstand that and fell. But no circumstances were Akasaka was unable to withstand that and fell, but under no circumstances was he letting out of that foot. The two men fell together in a tangled heap. The man was desperate to pull his leg free from Akasaka, but having fallen in a awkward position, he was unable to. The two of them rolled around on the ground, floundering about, trying to gain advantage. While Akasaka was holding into his opponent's knee with both hands, and that opponent, who had complete freedom to move his upper body, were two completely different situations. The man gained a positional advantage on Akasaka, who still latched on his leg and couldn't move away, and pounded full force on his head with both his fists. Not only that, he found Akasaka's skull on a rock nearby and beat it against Akasaka's skull. The difference between being hit with a fist and being hit with a rock was vast. Akasaka quickly thought of letting go of the man's leg to free his hands to protect his head, but if he let go here, the man would get away. If he didn't get in here, everything would be so. The boy he was trying to save was right there. He was going to save him and go back to Tokyo. If he could do that, then it was goodbye to this ruthless village. Without looking, I could tell my forehead had split open and was gushing blood. But I didn't want to go to the man's life. How could I? I wouldn't let him go. When the man realized that no matter how much he beat my head, he wasn't getting away. He used both his hands to grab my throat as if to crush my windpipe. But it was not true. I pulled my head back as a slight form of resistance, but it was no use. The man's hands enveloped my neck and began to crush it like a vice. It was less about the pain of not being able to breathe. So much it was choking so hard I felt like I was going to throw up. Felt like my stomach was going to turn itself inside out. But I could only endure it. Damn it. My throat hurts. I won't let go. I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to resolve this and go back to Tokyo. Go back to Tokyo and go back to Yuki. All about our onboard child. We were going to talk about our bright future. I had no intention of loosening my grip. However, it loosened just a bit. The man's leg came free. The man kicked as hard as possible and I tumbled backwards. My head was spinning and I was unable to get up right away. No, I couldn't even put up any strength to getting up in the first place. Even so, I couldn't back down. Even if I escaped now, this chance would never come again. Even just catching their scent was nothing short of a miracle. If we weren't able to get the minister's grandson back here, there wouldn't be another chance. The man tried to drag the boy to his feet, but the kid was displaying some unexpected resistance, allowing me to get up unnoticed. I grasped a rock the man had just beat me over with. Now it's my turn. The rock should be able to supplement the meager strength I had left, adding more than enough power to my attack. My fist still wrapped around the rock, dug into the side of the man's torso. It seems like it hurt him quite a bit. The man rolled around a bit, clutching his side. Freed from the man's grip, the boy hid behind me. Inukai Toshiki, right? I came to help you. To the boy, those words were the words he was waiting for the most. But the crisis was not over yet. That was because, even though he was still clutching his side, the man had gotten up again. But the crisis was not over yet. That was because even though he was still clutching at his side, the man had gotten up again and had taken a fighting stance. I could see the man's eyes. The resentment at the pain I had caused him, and the confidence that he could still beat me. If he were to clash head-on again, he might not even stop at my head. If my head were split open. Stop resisting! Surrender quietly. You should hand the boy over. Do you want me to snap your neck? Who would listen to you now? Reinforcements are already on your way. There's nowhere for you to run. The man reacted adversely to the word reinforcements. That was because he now knew that arguing like this class wasn't just a waste of time, but put him closer and closer to danger. Realizing that the man shifted mental gears almost too quickly. Then let's finish this fast! How about this? What? The man pulled from his back knife was all things a gun. Of course, I'm a police officer. It's not like I didn't know what a gun is. But having one pointed at me was something I'd never experienced before. Was it real? Of course it was. There's no way it would be a replica in a situation like this. Put down your hand! Put your hands behind your head and lay down quietly. Don't cut cocky, you villain. I won't do anything you say. That's too stupid. Do you not know what this is without me shooting it with you? Shooting you with it? Then shoot. Reinforcements will hear the gunshots and head over right here. Are you stupid? We're in the middle of the forest, and on top of that, it's raining. They'll never hear a thing. As long as he's long as he still held that gun, no matter how much I yelled at him, I was in a distinct disadvantage. But as I had fighting, but I still had a fighting chance. If I were in his shoes, instead of wasting time yelling at each other like this, I would just shoot him and take the boy. That way was the fastest, and would suppress any sort of further resistance from him. But the man was demanding my surrender without having fired a shot, meaning that he either didn't want to shoot or couldn't. In other words, the man in front of me was soft. If I could buy even just a little more time, the factors that would lead to my victory were numerous. Oishi was probably on his way, and the reinforcements we called before coming here should already be well on their way too. Not only that, they should have contacted the local police. Without doubt, somebody stationed in the village would be here much quicker than that. Dang it! Do I have to pull the bullet in you for you to understand how dangerous this thing is? There's no escape. Don't add to your crimes. At the moment, I heard the rustling of foliage and heavy footsteps approaching. If Oishi was coming here, it was a whole new ball game. The man couldn't have one more ball with one gun. Oishi-san, over here! Huh? I had thought that time was on my side, but I had failed to even imagine that the enemy also would have reinforcements. You could tell that the man who had just appeared was one of the perpetrators, just looking at him. What are you doing? If you don't hurry up, the police will be here. Stop lollygagging. Damn it! What happened to Oishi-san? Ah, the chubby fella? It's down for the count. Yes? Check it! The boy sensitive to the impending danger crawled up behind my back. How could this be? Damn it! Your body isn't coming. Serves you right. Shoes on the other foot now. As I backed up against a large tree while still protecting the boy, the second man also pulled out a gun. We'll be saying this twice. Put your hands in your head and lie down. I refuse. As I shouted in protest, blood erupted from my left shoulder and took a few seconds to register that I had been shot. Compared to the other ones from in TVs and movie dramas, the first actual gunshot I heard was simple and mundane. In fact, the sound was more akin to small fireworks I used to buy from a corner store as a kid. But there's no comparing the pain. It was fear you only knew after you'd been shot. Sir? Are you okay? Are you okay? The boy, in his confusion, tugged at my clothes, agitated the wound even further. I wanted to put a bold face in and ensure. The boy, in his confusion, tugged at my clothes, agitating the wound even further. I wanted to put a bold face in reassuring, but my voice was hoarse and had the opposite effect. I'm alright. I've already called back up. There should be a full obstruction. It'll be quicker to put on through you. It'll be quicker that put on through you. You're dead before the cops get here. But the family said no needless killing, so I'm taking it easy on you. Don't mess with me or I ain't holding back. This is bad. This was really bad. This is the second man was completely different beast from the first. He had no signs of indecisiveness or mercy. If the man said he'd shoot, he'd shoot. He wasn't somebody that the man like me could buy time from. I really hated to admit it, but at the moment, the image of Yuki's smiling face crossed my back of my mind. I knew what that meant. I was warning myself not to throw my life away over a matter of pride. Of course I didn't want to die here. Of course. I was just starting a new life with Yuki, and I wanted to see the face of our soon-to-be-born child. Why should I risk my life for some minister's grandson when I was in such a critical juncture in my own life? God, dang it! I need to stop rattling with myself. So what do I do now? Give up the boy and extend my own life? Or a good idea? Everyone's life is precious. My own life was in danger. Nobody would blame me. Ah, damn it, it hurts. If I knew at noon this would be painful, I would have played the tough guy. The biggest miscalculation, though, was the sound of the gunshot. That was much better. My biggest miscalculation, though, was that the sound of the gunshot was far quieter than I had imagined. If it was only that loud, it would only be drowned out by the ring of the forest. It wasn't something that somebody far away could hear. Dang it, just wait. I don't want to die. Ah, dang it, I don't want to die yet. As long as you're under... As long as you understand. Damn it, just wait, I don't want to die. And I don't want to kill you. As long as you understand. Don't shoot, okay? Don't shoot. I have a wife waiting for me at home. I don't want to die. I won't shoot as long as you don't yell or nothing. Quietly put your hands on your head and lie down. Will you really keep your promise, right? It's a promise between men. I will. It's a promise between men. Keep your personal and keep it. Keep your promise, keep it. I'm going to get down to the ground, okay? I'm getting down. I'll keep my promise, so stop pointing the gun at me. You're still thinking about shooting me, aren't you? You want to shoot me, don't you? When I get down on the ground, you're just gonna shoot me in the back of the head, aren't you? I won't. Fine. I'll put it away. I'll put the gun away. This is a promise between men. There. No problem, right? Yes, absolutely no complaints. It was over in a flash. The moment he lowered his gun, Oishi didn't let his chance slip by. Oishi had been assessing the situation for quite a while. For quite some time behind the two men. But since they had their guns trained on me, he really didn't have a choice but to jump in. Seeing the look in Oishi's face, indicating that he wanted me to create an opening, I took on the role completely. Oishi forcefully lifted the arm that was holding the gun. Then he took the gun from the man's hand in an instant. The other man, who was slow in grasping what was happening, pointed a gun at them, but with his ally gripping. With his allies grappling with Oishi, he couldn't pull the trigger. If that man was the only was the one that was wrestling with Oishi at the moment. He might have gotten a shot without hesitation, but this man won't shoot. He couldn't shoot. Oishi kicked the other man away while aiming the stolen gun with his left hand and pulled out his own. With guns akimbo, he was aiming to both men at the same time. I do believe that's checkmate. It was completely clean. But heedless of the guns pointed at them, the men shot his scram as they scattered away at full speed. It was over in an instant. Those two running away without putting up a fight was obviously unexpected. Oishi, quietly licking his gun in announcement, slipping both guns into his pants pocket. Those guys know their stuff. What do you mean? The officer that won't fire at someone who's waiting. Want to keep my pension here. Oishi and I grin at each other. Are you Inugai Toshiki, the grandson of the Minister of Construction, Inugai? Yes. This is going to be a major incident. We probably only cut the trail. Kill off the lizard though. Oishi smiled amusedly. The fact that the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance, or rather the Sonozaki family behind them, was pulling the strings was apparent. But providing it won't be easy. And with apologies to Oishi, this incident was unlikely to go public. If this caused an uproar, it's probably obviously lead the minister losing his office. With HQ having decided that doing so was in the national interest, this would probably be cleaned up quietly. It might be a rough way of saying this, but this was born in the shadows, and it's gonna die in the shadows. Oishi probably already understood the implication behind this incident. For the time being, let's cordon off the area, since it seems like it's one of them still has a gun. Let's get through Inugai. As the tension in the situation faded, the pain from the gunshot wound in my arm blossomed once again. My forehead was also stinging painfully and had grown hot enough to start a fire. Thinking about the tension I had caused me to sweat. I wiped my forehead, but what came off was a large amount of blood. I realized that my shirt the shirt had been stained bright crimson red from the blood flowing from my head. I turned around. The boy safe and sound. But how did that? There'd probably be an investigation on the men who ran, but that's for another day. At this point, I could safely say that we cleared the major hurdle of securing the boy's safety. As soon as I recognized that, I felt like the lights in my head had been hit by a power failure. My knees buckled from underneath me, the ground there feeling as soft as a cloud. It didn't feel unpleasant even as I was covered in rain-soaked mud. Oishi came closer, asking if I was okay, but somehow I couldn't tell. I turned off the switch to the last light in my head. The exhaustion enveloped me. Sleep. Something softer than any blanket wrapped around me. Mission accomplished. Made a daring rescue. Okay, that was chapter 4. chapter 4 of Himatsubushi-hen. Let's look at the one tip that we got. One tip only? A very kind person. Patients admitted to the hospital can only accept calls at fixed times. That's why she couldn't receive a call from him today. Yesterday, she teased him that he got lonely easily, so he might have struggled with the idea of calling her sooner. That was much easier to imagine, rather than he might just be too busy to call. Because he's that type of person. Yuki, whispering that, smiled at herself. The announcement that visiting hours were over played over the hospital intercom along with some music. She exchanged pleasantries with the family of the patient she was staying in the same room with her. Probably eager for his mother to be discharged. Their small child was wearing a beaming smile. The child's mother was pregnant in the bed next to mine with what may be their new brother or sister. They were probably ready to burst with the expectations, dreams, and worries of having a new sibling. The joys of a growing family. Bathing those warm feelings, I stroked my own belly, which had grown quite large. I talked with him about how many children we wanted to have. We talked about how if we had 3, it would certainly be lively. However, there was an inexplicable worry that whether I'd be able to handle giving birth that many times. There isn't a mother out there who would hate to give birth because of that worry, though. Yuki, smiling at me, said that to herself, gently stroked her stomach. The Metropolitan Police Safety Division, the place where the man's sense of justice had led him. The person was actually a very gentle, very fragile person. He didn't talk much about the specifics, but I didn't think he was suited for the assignment he was on right now. But as long as he said he was going to try his best, I would watch over him warmly. Your father, you see, is a hard worker. You know? Kuchiku. Yuki seemed to be enjoying herself as she talked to her own belly. At the moment, Yuki suddenly became concerned about something. Looked out the window. It used to be this time, long ago. She remembered when she was little, around this time, in the countryside where her grandmother lived, the Higurashi would fill the air with the chorus. This was the middle of Tokyo. Unlike the countryside, we couldn't hear the song of the Higurashi. But for some reason, at the moment, Yuki felt she wanted to hear that song. Interesting. Okay, hi! Let me save this one. Hi! Higurashi no Naku Koro ni Himatsubushi-hen, chapter 4. Finished. Alright, let's go to Zatsudan. Hi, so anyways, thank you so much for coming to Yuki's stream today. Arigato nya. Before we end stream today, we will be reading. But before we end stream today, Yuki will go over the schedule for the rest of this week. I mean, it's a pretty simple schedule. Yuki will be streaming Higurashi again on Wednesday and on Saturday I hope to finish on Saturday. We'll see. Yeah. And then on Friday, Yuki will have a singing stream. All of those will be at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Because Daylight Time will end next week, which will switch back to Standard Time. はい、木曜日と、日曜日の配信は、日暮らしのなく頃の暇つぶし編を続くには、日曜日に、暇つぶし編を完了したいにゃ。土曜日の配信は、ウトワークにゃ。全部の配信は、午前10時、日本時間。はい、so anyways, thank you so much for coming to Yuki Stream today. ありがとうにゃ。So, we will be reading... Oh yeah, right. Also, happy Halloween! It's almost the end of Halloween, but happy Halloween! Happy Halloween! It's almost November. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jen Session and DJ Ranmas for the raid. Arigato nya. Thank you so much, Twitch Darksider. Thank you so much, I-chan, for coming to Yuki Stream today. Arigato nya. We will raid Rue, who is, playing Phasmo with her siblings right now. So let's raid Rue. Oh crap. Raid message. Hold on. Raid message. Trick or treat, yeah. That will be the raid message for today. A special raid message for today. Okay. Hi. So anyways, thank you so much for coming to Yuki Stream today. Vicky hopes to see you all tomorrow for more Higurashi. So anyways, otsunya. Bye.